Hello, this is going to be a nice simple guide on how to get the PlayStation Vita emulated on the AYN Thor. So if you've seen my other videos, you know the drill by now. We're going to go over to Obtainium, we're going to scroll down and we're looking for, a bit too far there, we're looking for Vita 3K. So I've already installed it, so what I'm going to do is talk you through the setup guide. So I'm going to open it up. I think by default it will be set to United States. I'm going to set it to United Kingdom. You can change the emulator path. This is where it will store the system files. I just leave it as the default. So this is where we need to download the Vita software and firmware and the font package. The font package can be a little bit finicky, so I'll talk through that when I get to it. So first we're going to download the pre-installation firmware. I'll just give you straight a link. So we're going to download, it says download again, I'll explain that shortly. Then we're going to head back over to, I just closed Chrome. That's not going to do much, is it? Head back over to download firmware, and then this is the official PlayStation Vita firmware. So it should be System Software Update 3.74. I can't imagine they'll be doing an update anytime soon. It doesn't want to. There we go. So for some reason it didn't want to download after pressing the button, so I just did it myself by pressing and holding on the link and then choosing to download the link. So I'm going to try and download the font package. Oh, it looks like it's actually done it this time. So it'll ask you if you want to download the PSP2 update.pup again. So it's actually a different file. You'll notice that by the file sizes. So the PSP2 update 1 is the pre-installation software. The PSV update is the firmware, and then that top one is the font package. So now what we're going to do is we're going to install the firmware. Scroll down, we're going to pick we'll do number 1. It will give this warning to download the firmware font package, but we'll just work through it in order. We'll install the firmware file, and that's the PSV update. Oh, that's making noise, I'm going to mute that. And then for the font package, oh, I didn't mean to press that. For the font package, we're going to install the PSP update 2. It's about 56 meg, 57 meg. You'll know you've done it right if you have these for all of these. I'm assuming they're supposed to be ticks, but. So this is just some interface settings if you want to have it on a specific grid. I tend to just leave these as the default. 64 pixel width for the app icon size. And there we go. Now, as you probably noticed, it's not the best looking emulator. So what it says here, so you can choose to not show this at startup. So there is a compatibility guide. Not every game is going to work. I tested this before I made this video, and the games that were on the compatibility guide and said they work fine did in fact not work fine. So I'll link the compatibility list in the description. Don't expect miracles. Vita emulation is still relatively early. So we'll see how we get on. So I'll untick that. So first you want to create a user. So I'm just going to create a user, and then once you've created your user, you can tick automatic user login, so it will automatically log into that user. Obviously, if you have multiple users, you can add extra accounts. It's only me that uses this device, so I'm going to load that up. So, oh, it looks like there's an update, so I'm just going to next through this. It looks like there's been some background music updates, which means nothing to me, but it's always good to have that. So obviously I need to enable it to allow the settings and update that. There we go, we'll open it back up. So if you were one of the 10 people that owned a PlayStation Vita, happy to say I was one of them, this will look familiar to you. This is the old lock screen that you used to have to peel away the corner. You just need to tap it on this instance. So you'll see a few apps. We're gonna ignore these for now. And the first thing we're gonna do is, if you come up here, you can see here is our emulation UI. So we want to go to configuration, then settings. So like I said, not the best looking of emulators by any means, but relatively straightforward. So at the top we've got our tabs. Modules mode we're going to leave on automatic. For CPU there's optimizations in there, there's only that option. GPU, it should default to Vulkan, if not make sure it's set to Vulkan. I'm not going to upscale anything because, like I said, it's still very early in development, so it's very unstable when it comes to loading the games. Audio, I'm going to leave as is. System, that's just for navigation and things like that. If you remember the PSTV, which was like a kind of home console version of the Vita, you can have it in that mode. I never used it, so I just leave it in the default Vita mode. The emulator, some performance overlay settings here. I've unticked it, so we don't need to worry about the overlay. In the GUI, it's just some more information. Some of it we already covered in the initial setup. Network, I'm not going to sign into PSN. I'm not falling for that trap. So we'll close out of this. So the way games work for Vita emulation is a little bit different to how we're used to using them. So we have to install them. So what we're going to do, so I've downloaded some games already. I'm going to click install zip. So mine is zip files. So I'm going to select, we'll try a new little King story. No, it says there's no compatible content. So what I'm going to do is unzip them and I'll be back in a second. Okay, there we are. So the games I initially had were in VPK format, and when I tried to install them, it did not like it. So what I've done is I've downloaded some other files, and these work a little bit differently, but I'll talk you through that now. So we'll open it up, we'll go to File, we'll install PKG. So I've just got a couple of games, so I'm going to open up the little King story, and then this package file here. And then it's going to ask you for the license type. So my license types are in work.bin. So I'll select work.bin and then I'll just go to the license file below it. Okay, so now you can see the game is there. So I'm just going to do the same thing for the other game I got, which is PlayStation Super Smash All-Star Battle Royale. Again, select the license file, that'll install it. So both of these are on the compatibility list as playable. However, we shall see. So let's try opening up New Little King Story. It will take you to this little screen. Again, if you were a Vita owner, you'll recognise this as the little kind of portal to the game almost. So we're just going to hit Start in the middle, and then hopefully, pardon me. So I'm just going to press the back button. Oh, it's gone anyway. No, it hasn't. So what I'm going to do, it's a lot more finicky, this. So overlay, just going to untick the show gamepad overlay in game, and now we're going to go back to booting up Little King Story. So it says playable, but I did try this game before and it crashed around here. So I've managed to get to the title screen, which I didn't do last time. So that's positive. I don't know if this is related to the update that happened at the start of the video. So I'll just boot into the game, and then Karobo will be my guy. It's always nice when they give you a pre-named character that's not just player. So we're going to try and They don't like letting you skip cutscenes in these games, do they? So I'll speed this up a little bit and we'll get into some gameplay and then we'll see how that fares. So, well, spoke too soon. I thought I had control then. So I'm pressing square to charge. Aha, so I see one thing we've forgotten. So, as I've covered in previous videos, this Nintendo button layout doesn't match up too well with PlayStation. So as we can see, the game runs fine. So what I'll do is I will close out of this game. If you just swipe back, you can get back to it. And then for controls, I will configure our controller. So it's the Odin controller. So we'll tap into that. And then all I'm going to do is map the face buttons here to match what they would be on the PlayStation. So Y is X, cross button, X button is B, square is Y, and circle is A. So you should be an expert at remapping controls by now if you follow the other videos. So now that's done. Can't quite tap the close button there. So like I said, not the best looking emulator, a little bit fiddly, but it seems to be okay. So now let's give our other game a try, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Yep, we'll close that. And then hopefully this one doesn't have 200 hours of cutscenes to open the game. There we go. I don't have the online pass, so I can't play with all the people that still play this game online. So we'll just boot into a solo game. And then we'll go... God, I remember the roster on this being, so we'll go good old Sackboy. Doesn't quite have the roster that Super Smash Bros. Does it? So I have no idea how to play this game, but as you can see, it seems to run relatively well. It looks like quite a smooth frame rate. I cannot remember the controls. You can disable this the pipeline compilation notification in the corner. I'll briefly show you how to do that. I don't think I'm going to win this one, so we'll leave it there. But as you can see, the games do boot. Like I said, I'll link the compatibility list in the comments. Browse through that, see if there's any games there that take your fancy. It is updated quite regularly, so we'll keep an eye on it. For some reason, the top bar has disappeared, so I'm going to go into overlay. Not overlay, sorry. I'm going to go into... Is it in Emulator? So where it says show compile shaders, I'm just going to untick that. Don't quite know where my top bar has gone. There's also things like the trophy collection. So I haven't had any of these pop yet, but they should work just like regular trophies. But obviously they're stored locally, it won't be patching up to Sony servers. So there we are, the Vita emulator. Like I said, still in active development. Give it a try. If there's any games you want me to check out specifically and see if I can get them running, do let me know in the comments. As always, I'd appreciate a like and enjoy.